everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're here for the very first time, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I'm Jane, my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, we've got no debt, we've paid off the mortgage, and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. Now every Sunday we bring you an aspect of our private lives, and this week is very much our private thoughts and opinions on something that we're going to be sharing with you. And feel free to leave a comment at any stage to convince me that I am wrong, because we really believe, and we're going to share with you today, that modern ease and comforts and the way we live these days is keeping people broke. Whoever would have thought that we could have got to this period now of such levels of such expensive inactivity. If you want to, you don't have to raise a finger to cook your own food, you don't have to make your own coffee, you don't have to do anything for self-care, you can pay everybody else to do it. You don't have to do anything at all these days that you don't want to do. We have reached the levels of peak comfort, peak easiness. We've reached the levels now of processed food to the point that people are ignoring the fact that processed food isn't healthy for us, that it isn't doing us any good, because we just know it is easy. We've reached the point of spending so much money to pay other people to do stuff for us that we don't count the cost because it is just so easy. Let's go into a few details. We are well educated, aren't we? We know that certain levels of discomfort, of working hard, of doing things ourselves, of standing in our kitchens and preparing food from a field, not a factory, is really, really good for us. We know that physical activity, of keeping our brains active, of doing things that stimulate us and not completely soothe us all the time, do us good. We all know that, and yet across the world, increasingly we are choosing ease and comfort at the expense of our physical well-being, and more importantly, or most importantly, because that's what we're about as a channel, is we are ignoring the fact of how much that is costing us, and it is absolutely keeping people broke. I know exactly what you're going to say now. You're going to talk about everybody being busy. Well, I'm 60. My next birthday is going to be 60. So I know all of my life that I have been busy. I've worked as a woman bringing up children all my life. My mother worked and brought up children. Mike's mother worked. All the women that I know who've got children and families and homes, they've all worked. All the men in their lives, all their partners in their lives, they've all worked. They've had long commutes, they've walked to the bus, they've stood in the rain, they've got to work, they've worked all day, they've done 10 hours out of the house every day, they've had to take on extra work, they've had to pick the kids up, and then they've had to go home and stand there and make a casserole. So it's this thing about being new, being really busy isn't new. I've been busy all of my life. But now people are so convinced that that level of busyness that my mother had in the 70s. My mother walked to work or cycled to work, and she worked 5 miles away, and she still came home and put a stew in a pan. She still came home and stood over a twin tub. She still came home and dug a garden. These levels of busyness are not new. All over the world, in every country that you can think of, everybody's working hard, working long hours. This concept that somehow that people in one country are working longer and harder hours in another country doesn't really have as much truth behind it as people think. It's people have just been, and who's convincing everybody all of the time that you need ease and comfort and somebody to cook for you and do everything for you. And look after you in ways that we haven't seen since the days of servants. Who's doing that? people who are making money out of you. Back in the days of my mother, they weren't telling my mother and my grandmother, oh, you need to get Uber Eats to deliver your food, because it didn't exist. It didn't exist. Us growing up, Mike and I with 2 young kids, the only people that you could get to deliver any food to you and you paid a premium for it was a pizza. And nobody wanted to pay for a pizza because it cost half as much as a week's shopping. Nobody wanted to do that unless it was like a really rare special occasion. So I know you're going to say people are busy these days. People have been busy all of my life. I'm Gen X. We've always been busy. And Gen X people like me, we've been working since 14 years old. We worked in cafes, we worked washing up in restaurants, we worked waitressing, then we went to school, then we worked weekends, and we've been working for years and years and years. Busyness isn't an excuse. Commercialism's what's selling you. They're telling you, you are so busy that what you need is ease and comfort and packets and deliveries and someone to make your coffee for you. Why are they convincing you all the time about how busy you are? Like I said, because they're making money out of you. And ease and comfort has now become part of a global psyche, and it is keeping people absolutely broke. Now I'm going to use the example of self-care, and I'm putting my hands up and acknowledge this one. I pay someone 20 euros a month to wax my face and wax my eyebrows, because if I take my glasses off, I can see sweet diddly squat. So if I put myself in front of a mirror, even a magnifying mirror, all I can see in front of me is a blur, because I'm long-sighted, just doesn't work for me. So I've reached that age, and I accept that if you cannot bend down, if you have a disability, if you cannot do things, that you are going to need to pay someone to do some self-care for you. But that's not all people, is it? So if I think back to times of self-care, once upon a time, self-care was something you did for yourself. And I know this because I was that person who did that self-care. I was that person who would paint my nails 2 or 3 times a week, my fingernails and my toenails. I was that person who did my own pedicures and manicures. I was that girl who plucked my own eyebrows. I was that girl who coloured my own hair. I was that woman who went to bed every night with a good layer of thick Nivea cream on my face. I was that girl who woke up every morning, who washed and dried my hair and put it in heated rollers. I was that woman. But now we've reached the point of self-care where it is normalised that you pay someone else to do that. And there is a premium attached to that. Because I used to spend quite a bit of money just on those products, but now you're paying for the products and the service and the gratuity and the tip, if you want to call it that. So we've reached that point, haven't we? And we've reached that point from the I deserve it culture. I've worked so hard. We've already thrown that debate out of the water, haven't we? Everybody's working hard. They've always been working hard. And even if we go back to like the 1930s and 1940s of those women who were scrubbing floors and scrubbing steps, they've all been working hard. They didn't have time to put a meal on the table. They were just knackered anyway. They've probably been, slinging out a child every year or two. They might have had 10 of them, pre-contraception. It's always been hard. Ease and comfort is costing you money because people are selling it to you. It's commerce. They're selling it to you, and it is keeping people broke. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, in this modern world where people can't afford to buy a house, what does it matter if they go and get a couple of coffees a day and they're spending €5, dollars or pounds a day? Because that's 25 a week, that's 100 a month. And you stick that into an ISA or a tax beneficial savings account from an early age. When you reach 65, it's easily equated that you'll have 500,000 stashed away and you'll have made that money. So you're literally getting someone for ease and comfort to keep you broke in your old age, to make you a couple of cups of coffee a day, maybe one in the morning, maybe one, I don't know, on your way home, maybe you picked up a couple of iced coffees in the day. You are literally, through ease and comfort, drinking, well, let's be blunt, flushing away your retirement fund. Now, I watched something the other day, and somebody else in another money saving channel picked this up about somebody who had phoned into Dave Ramsey, and they'd reached a point in their life where they'd had nothing for retirement. They were in a desperate circumstance. So it's like, what have they been doing with their money for all of those years? And even if it was just a little bit, the €5 a day, the coffee money, which we can see as like ease and comfort of a bit of money. What does it matter? It's a bit of money. That is your retirement. Ease and comfort of paying people to make us food, to deliver it, all of those things, is keeping people absolutely broke. And you might think, well, what's the difference does it make? I'll tell you when it makes a difference. When you get to my age, it will have made a difference. If you suddenly reach the point you think, well, I'm 60 and I might want to retire, I will start saving now, but through ease and comfort, I've just spent that money over the years. I promise you, it's something that you will regret, and nobody wants to live their old age with those kind of regrets. Even though in my last video I shared with you, yeah, you can have a shoestring retirement, yeah, you can make it work. But wouldn't it have been better to have some savings? And you can have some savings if you forego some of those ease and some of those comforts. Let's go into that a little bit more. Now let me make this clear, and I'm sharing my opinion here with you today. I am certainly never going to tell anyone, don't buy coffee, don't eat out. Don't get Uber Eats to deliver your food. Don't get Deliveroo to deliver your food. I'm never, ever going to say that. It's your money, it's your choice. And if you choose to do that with it, good for you. Absolutely good for you. But from an observational point of view, it's how much you do it, it's how often you do it, and if you can afford it, if you've paid off your mortgage, you've got no debts, your pension is all saved up for, and your house is paid off and everything is absolutely tickety-boo, you go and sit in a coffee shop every single day and you enjoy it. And I would too if I can afford it. I would too if I had the money. I would too, go and have a takeaway once in a while. People are interested in this. Where we live in this rural part of France, I cannot get a takeaway coffee and I cannot get any takeaway food. And I'll tell you something, it saves me an absolute fortune. There's no drive-through. I have to go to a city to go to a drive-through. Nothing around here. So I'm living proof of the fact that without those modern conveniences, without that ease, that you do save a whole pile of money. There we go. Convince me that I'm wrong. I'm quite happy. Leave the comments below. Modern ease and comforts, and people wanting it easy, people wanting someone else to do it for them, is costing people money. And like I said, you want to go out and have a coffee, you want to go out and have a takeaway, you want to go around rattling your iced coffee all day long, you go ahead and do it. Not a criticism, it is an observation that there are people out there right now who really can't afford it, who aren't putting anything into savings, who really cannot afford to have Deliveroo or Uber Eats deliver their dinner far more often than they can afford to do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone for hitting the like button, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.